What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I have for you the ultimate looting, backpacking, and inventory management guide. This is going to cover backpack and looting management, and when you enter a death box, what you should prioritize first, among other things. This is also going to cover backpack management depending on what type of loadout you use and what type of legends you use. So you definitely want to sit around for this video. All right, so we're gonna get started. Everything's gonna take place in the firing range, and we're gonna have a little bit of gameplay in here. But for the most part, let's talk about for the white backpack. So you get to carry an extra 2 more slots. Otherwise, you only get up to here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get 10 slots. With the white bag, you get 12. Still not a lot, and to be totally honest, you can fill up this amount of space very quickly. But here's what I typically like to do. We're gonna talk in reference to a 301 and a car. What I like to have as far as inventory management, how much ammo, how much heals, any grenades if I have any or can carry any. So right now, what I like to do, since the 301 is my primary, I like to fill up at least 3 to 4. If I can have at least 180 rounds, I'll carry that much. And then in my secondary, I'll hold another 3. So I'm pretty much balanced 180, 180. Especially for my secondary, I'm not really going to burn through that much on my car. You know, there's only so much close range encounters you're gonna have. So for that reason, having 3 stacks is probably more than enough. If I do need to run things a little more tighter, if I feel like I need to have just an extra stack of light ammo for my 301, I'll pick up another stack, run 4 stacks in 2. 120 is still very good, and that'll take me a long ways, especially with the 301. It's very versatile in long and closer range scenarios. I can hit fire with it pretty good. So actually I could have 240 and still be generally okay. Now, as far as heals, what I like to do on this management, inventory management, if I can carry 2 bats, a stack of cells, whites, and medis, this is something I would typically like to carry. Of course, as far as shields, this is a little bit too light for me. So if I can, either I'll grab 2 more extra bats if they're flying around, or if I can replicate them, and 2 more extra sets of cells. So in total, I'll have 4 bats, 8 cells, 4 syringes, and 2 medkits. That's typically what I like to have at all times. If I have any more of one thing, it's typically going to be the batteries. So if I have blue shield, if I have a blue backpack, I'll probably take 1 extra slot that I'll get from the blue backpack and fill that up with shield batteries. If not, then I'll pick up a grenade at that point, but this is probably ideal. Right now, I'm typically running Mad Maggie, so if I don't have grenades on me, it's not the worst thing in the world, mainly because I still have her drill, and her drill kind of acts like what you would for a nade. You know, somebody's hiding behind cover and all you're doing is basically forcing them out and possibly getting a knock, which is something you would do with a nade. So because I'm playing Mad Maggie, that kind of makes up for it. However, other legends, not necessarily the case. You may want to run a nade. Maybe you drop an extra stack of ammo just to have maybe a frag grenade or a thermite or an arc. But for white bags, I typically don't run grenades, only because I play Mad Bag. Now let's talk about a blue bag. Now with the blue bag, you get the extra 2 spots, which is great. You're pretty comfortable. You can do a lot of stuff. What I'll do is I'll have the extra stack of heavy ammo. So I'll have 3 stacks of heavy, give me 180. I'll take that extra stack of light and I'm pretty much good. Because then at this point, hopefully I have enough attachments to run long range and I can shoot at longer distances and be able to take longer pick shots. And then when the time comes, get in there nice and close for a nice close range fight. Now, if you are running a shotgun, the shotgun is very nice because you can run 1 stack of ammo and use that extra inventory space for grenades, heals, or more of your primary rifle. Now, I know a lot of people aren't really comfortable running shotguns all the time, so they typically like to grab SMGs like a Vault or an R99 or the car. So there's no problem with that. You just have to balance your inventory a little bit better. But the easiest loadout to manage is definitely going to be a type of rifle, which is going to be the 301 or the flatline or maybe something else, or a havoc, and a shotgun, because like I said, the shotgun takes so much, very little space. You truly only need 1 stack, which is going to be 16 rounds of shotgun. If you're running through more than 16 rounds of your shotgun, hit your shots better. I know with the Evo, you can kind of run through your shots a little bit quicker because especially if you have double tap, you really do just kind of burn through ammo. But hopefully you're doing enough damage that you're getting knocks and you're not running through that much ammo. If you really have to, and if you really feel like it, run 2 stacks, run 32 shots of shotgun ammo and run it like that. That's perfectly fine and normal, but the most common is just 1 stack. Typically, if you're running a mastiff, this is honestly too much, 16 rounds. So I would definitely drop this to just a 1 stack. Obviously, if you're running a PK, it's the same scenario. But for the sake of the video, we'll go back to the car. Now, there are some occasions where I like to run a couple extra bats. So I will drop a stack of cells for 2 extra bats. So I'll have 6 bats and 4 cells. The 4 cells is really just so if I have, let's say, purple armor. If I have purple armor and I just, I take a little bit of damage. Okay, so I take a little bit of damage on purple armor. I don't want to waste a full bat sometimes. So I'll use the cells. That's the only reason why I typically always carry cells. Now, if I'm playing as Horizon and I have a blue bag, you definitely at this point want to be carrying some type of nades. You want to be carrying at least 2 nades, one of them being at least an arc star. So if I have to drop an extra set of bats or an extra set of cells to carry that extra nade, then I'll do that. Typically, I'll sacrifice ammo before I sacrifice heals, because you want to follow generally like a rule of priority. What are you going to need more? You're probably going to need heals more depending on how much damage you take. And if you hit your shots, or you can hit consistent shots with certain guns, you're probably more comfortable with less ammo. Now, when it comes to priority, if you had to drop something in order to make space for something else, like say, for instance, there's extra ammo on the floor that you need, or extra heals, preferably bats, or maybe an extra nade. First thing I'd be dropping, depending on how much ammo if I have over 180 or 3 stacks of light ammo or heavy ammo, drop that extra stack. If I have 5 stacks of light ammo on a 301, I'll probably drop one of those stacks to pick up an extra nade or an extra set of batteries. After that is going to be grenades. And then the last thing that I would drop to pick up for anything is going to be actual heals. If I have extra heals, if I have 2 more med kits than I need, I'll drop the stack of med kits. Like I said, I only typically carry about 2 med kits and 4 syringes at all times. I don't typically like to carry more than that. I feel like 2 med kits and 2 syringes is a pretty good healthy mix. And I'll always prioritize having more batteries than I do cells. Now, when you're looting a death box, you're gonna wanna follow the priority of shield and ammo, then go for heals. Now, when it comes to attachments, you basically just have to be very quick, because if somebody else is looting that box with you, it's gonna go very quickly. But the first thing in the priority is always gonna be shields and then ammo. All right, so we killed those 2 people. I have some damage done on me. So the first thing I'm always gonna grab is gonna be shields. Then I like to refill on ammo, go for heals, and go down the line. If you guys haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and hit the bell notification. So as Horizon, having at least 2 grenades is pretty good, because you can use this, you can use your ultimate.
What's a wee singularity between friends?
And 2 grenades is going to be more than enough to do the damage that you need in order to take somebody out. If you're playing Fuse, you're probably going to want to stack more grenades than anything else, only because this passive allows you to double stack grenades. So in one slot, instead of having 1 arc star or 1 grenade, you get to have 2. So now I get to have 4 grenades. For most other legends with a blue bag, I would probably only carry about 1 nade. If you have the extra space and you don't have extra heals or anything like that, then I'll carry 2. Horizon, at a minimum, you should probably have 2 nades at all times, unless you have a bigger bag. Now, when I get to the big old purple bag, now the purple bag is the most amount of inventory slots that you can have. What I typically will do is, since I'm running a 301 as my primary AR right now, I'll stack up heavy on the ammo. If anything, I'll drop to about 240, and I'm usually pretty comfortable with this. At this point, I'm probably picking up extra batteries if I can find them. I have 2 nades at this point, so I'll have 8 batteries, 4 cells. Sometimes I will trade the stack of batteries for extra cells, only because in late game scenarios, when you have a purple bag, you'll be taking a lot of pick damage from distance. Sometimes you don't want to burn a full bat for just 60 damage. Sometimes I want to burn some cells.
Recharging my shields, cuzzies.
Now, depending on the situation, on red shields, if I'm way below half, then I'll probably burn a bat. But if the situation, it gives me a lot of space and I know they can't make a serious push based on the fact that they killed half my shields, I'll probably just burn cells. But it all depends on situation. That has to be something that has to be read personally by you. Now, at this point, I'm running 2 grenades. I have pretty much all the space I need. So with any legend, I'll probably run 2 grenades, even as Mad Maggie, because I could use her drill whenever I want, and then I could stack up as much nades as I can. As Horizon, you could probably sacrifice a little bit of ammo or shields just to pick up that extra nade, depending on where you're at. Hey, maybe you put some extra cells off behind cover somewhere so you can carry an extra nade. That all depends on situation. Having 3 grenades on the ultimate end game can be very, very dangerous. So if you have the backpack space and you're running purples and it's close to end game, I'm probably stacking up a little bit extra nades and using my ultimate at the most perfect opportunity to get as many knocks as I can. Now, when it comes to the gold bag, now the gold bag allows you really to just have deep pocket. Deep pockets allows you to stack 3 of the bigger heals instead of 2. What I mean by that is that you get to stack 3 batteries or 3 med kits or 2 Phoenix kits. This allows you to really stack up on heals and have 12 plus shield batteries, and maybe you have a stack of just cells. There was literally one game the other day where I had 18 shield batteries, and I was like, hey, does anybody need some batteries? Because I have 18. I had 1 stack of cells, 1 stack of syringes, and then I had 3 medkits, or a full stack of medkits at that point. So as a rule of thumb, in my personal opinion, I typically don't carry Phoenix kits only because they take way too long to pop. In many situations, you're out of the fight for a full 8 seconds, and that can be very detrimental. To be out for a full 8 seconds can sometimes hurt the team fight in many ways. And so in some late game scenarios, what happens is that if I have a Phoenix kit for whatever reason, and I don't have the greatest amount of bats, let's just say I have like 2 or 3 bats with a couple cells, I don't really want to use that right away. I want to save that. So what I'll do is, in this perfect situation, I have 1 bar of red shield left and I lost a little bit of whites. So I will burn a Phoenix kit, even though some people like to min-max the Phoenix kits and wait till you get really low. I try not to do that, because if you get too low, the enemy team, if they're that good, they're gonna push you. So I'll burn the Phoenix kit early just so I can get it out of the way, and it's kind of used as like a free shield in my head, because the more valuable shields or heals are going to be batteries, med kits, and cells. If you're running a shotgun at this particular point, you're basically just going to stack up more on that particular type of ammo, or if you're comfortable with what you have, 356 is probably a lot, so maybe you drop an extra just to have 300. Then you pick up an extra couple nades. Now you have 4 nades, 300 rounds with a 301, a shotgun stacked out, 4 nades, and plenty of heals with deep pockets. You're pretty much kitted. If you are running snipers, which is something I don't do, and we're going to use a charge rifle for example here, this is probably the ideal loadout with a gold bag or purple. Now let's talk about when it comes to the legendary guns, or the red guns. Now the red guns are a little bit special only because they don't carry their own ammo type. So if I'm running a Kraber, if you are going to run a Kraber with this setup, here's exactly what I would do with a blue bag. So with a blue bag and a Kraber running a 301, this is probably the best and most ideal situation that you can have. And I still have an extra slot right here. So I have 6 bats, 4 cells, 4 ranges, and 2 medkits. What I could do is use that extra spot to stack up on an extra set of cells, or I could take that and I can grab another nade. And I have 3 nades, 6 bats, 4 cells, 2 medkits, 4 ranges, plenty of ammo up to 300. Now, of course, even though I'm using a Kraber, this pretty much applies to the other guns as well. If you are running a rampage, it does help to carry that extra thermite in your inventory, just so that when you run out of ammo, you can recharge the thing up and let the thing fly. Let's talk about the scout. Now, if I run the scout, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than probably what most people would recommend. Since the scout is a pretty much DMR that you can just take easy pick shots from distance and do some really good damage from far, I'm not going to carry as much ammo because it's going to take a lot for me to get through 180 rounds, which is 3 stacks of ammo. So I could potentially just run 2 stacks of ammo, 120, and that'll actually get me pretty far. So I could use the extra inventory space to load up on my secondary, which right now is the car. So I can use that to have 4 stacks of heavy ammo for the car, or pick up extra meds, pick up an extra grenade, whatever I need. If you're going to be running gold shield, I would definitely stack up more on the cells than anything else. Not that you can't use a bat, but the batteries are obviously going to take 5 seconds. Meanwhile, your shield cells, which is going to be healing for you for twice the amount, is going to only take 3 seconds. You can give all your extra batteries to your teammates, which are probably going to be running blues or purples, hopefully. Eventually, toward the late game, I would definitely swap out the gold for reds, especially if you can find extra batteries on the floor and pick those up. If anything, still having gold shield at late game is still very, very good, mainly because you can at least get half your shield back very quickly while fighting. All right, let's talk about looting in game. Now, of course, when you get down and you get just into a POI, you have nothing, right? You have 2 cells, 2 ranges, no bag. It sucks, right? So what are things you're probably going to grab? Obviously, if you find a backpack, you want to pick that John up because it's going to open up some inventory. Now, depending on how hot and heavy the POI is when you land, you may want to pick up guns that you don't typically use. So I don't typically use a longbow, but I typically like to pick up an HCOG or a shotgun bolt, because if I do find those if I do find guns to put those on, I'll be running them. Car, something I always run, so I picked that John up. I got a wingman, so I have a car, wingman, 2 guns. Well, one of these guns I don't typically run all the time, which is the wingman, and the car is something I use daily. So if this is the loadout I'm going to run, I'm basically going to find everything related to this gun, and I'm not really going to be picking up other stuff because I don't want to stack out the inventory, you know? Now, sometimes you'll run into loot for guns that you may not have at the moment, but you hope to find. So this barrel stabilizer is pretty nice to have if I have a 301. So I might hold on to it. And if I find it, I'll drop one of my guns for it. See, this is pretty valuable. I have a purple heavy mag on this car right now, right? I found a light mag, gold light mag. So if I find a 301, I mean, we're talking about stacked loadout. I'll drop my wingman or run a 301 and I'll have it be pretty stacked. So I thought I was gonna be able to find a shotgun, but I couldn't find a shotgun at the moment. So I'm gonna drop this bolt, keep this in the inventory as well, and keep looking for something good. Now that I found this massive, I could potentially go back and pick up the blue bolt. It is a pretty good combo, but I'm praying that I find a 301. Oh, look, now we found a bigger bag. Now we can kind of like open up. Oh, even better. Found a purple bag. You can really open things up now. Basically, the point of this that I'm trying to show you guys is that you don't want to just be picking up all these random things at random, and then all of a sudden your inventory stacked out with a bunch of just crap you don't need. And then you have to take, you know, an extra 10 seconds to just empty everything out, right? It only wastes time. It takes longer to loot. Sometimes it's gonna hurt you in a fight. All right, so that wraps up the ultimate inventory and looting guide for Apex Legends. Hopefully these tips and tricks have covered everything and all your questions that you have as far as inventory management and looting. If you guys like this video, please like or subscribe. I'd highly appreciate it. We go live on this channel a lot and you can see everything I do live, and I'll see you guys in the next one.